Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military with Summary channel. In this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the conflict on the territory of Ukraine, and first we're going to talk about the open letter that was sent by Zelensky. The president of Russia made lots of very interesting statements and he replied to Zelensky's letter. Key points from Putin's statements regarding Zelensky's letter. Kiev considered it possible to move to a public discussion, and this is completely wrong. Putin reported that Zelensky, through a Russian businessman, recently asked him for a meeting. Putin said he has never refused to meet with Zelensky, but it is against beating around the bush. Putin believes that Kiev only wants a meeting of the leaders to stop the advance of the Russian armed forces. A solution to the situation must be found before the summit in Ukraine. Putin believes Zelensky's rude letter created conditions to make a meeting of the leaders impossible. In response to Zelensky's letter, Putin addressed the Russian military work brothers. So according to these statements, we see that the president of the Russian Federation ordered his forces to continue the special military operation. Zelensky was very angry with this reply, and he said that unfortunately the Russian side has once again chosen war. Everybody heard today's response. It was a weak response. He simply does not want to end the war. I think this response disappointed many people around the world. He does not want to change anything and does not want to admit that this war is liked only by him and those who profit from it. They were all smiling broadly today. That means that Russia must have less money and pressure on Russia must increase. I thank everyone who helps us. I thank everyone who stands with Ukraine. And according to Zelensky, he has approved new SBU operations against Russia. And right after this statement was made about new operations against Russia, we start receiving updates that the Ukrainians began attacking the territory of the Russian Federation using hundreds of drones. And this is the first picture that was published yesterday by the Ukrainians somewhere at 6 p.m. of the Ukrainian time. And in this video we can see hundreds of drones that were flying in the northern direction, in the direction of the southern regions of Russia. And according to these updates, the Ukrainians used up to 310 drones, and according to information we have, the Ukrainians used up to 10 cruise missiles. Later, several hours later, more precisely, we received another report. This report dated at 11 p.m. and 30 minutes, and according to this report, the Ukrainians used additional 300 drones to attack deep inside of the territory of Russia. Once again, the Ukrainians were attacking in the northern direction and in the southern direction. And this morning, on the 6th of June of 2026, we received a third map, and here we can see the approximate situation as of the morning of the 6th of June. And according to this map, the Ukrainians launched additional 410 drones to attack the territory of the Russian Federation. So altogether, just within the previous 12 hours, maybe a bit more, maybe within the previous 16 hours, the Ukrainians used at least 1,000 of drones to attack deep inside of the territory of Russia. And this morning we received lots of very interesting updates on this matter. According to information we have, the Ukrainians attacked the territory of the city of Ust-Lubinsk. According to information we have, there is an oil base in this area in the most central part of the settlement, and as a result of attack, this oil base was significantly damaged. This morning, pro-Ukrainian and pro-Russian sources published lots of videos on this matter, and here we have explosions and fire anomalies, and fire broke out right after the Ukrainians attacked this territory. So it seems that the Ukrainians, as a result of this attack, managed to damage this oil base significantly. Furthermore, and as we understand, this is a very important oil base which is located in the southern parts of Russia, and obviously the Russians were using this oil base with the purpose to supply the Crimea, to supply Kherson and Zaporozhye regions and so on. But this attack now most likely will lead to additional problems and additional escalation of oil crisis in this area. Also, according to information we have, the Ukrainians attacked the city of Mariupol, and these videos and these pictures were published from this area. Pro-Ukrainian sources reported that the Ukrainians attacked the port infrastructure of the settlement, and as a result of attack, as you can see, a fire broke out. So, as we can see, at least two cities were attacked through the southern directions, the city of Mariupol and the city of Ust-Lubinsk. Now, let's move further. Let's discuss the situation through the northern directions. According to information we have, the Ukrainians also attacked the settlement of Uzlovaya. As for this territory, we have a fire that broke out right after the Ukrainians attacked this territory. As of the morning of the 6th of June of 2026, it is very difficult to understand what exactly the Ukrainians attacked. Probably another object of energy infrastructure, or maybe the Russians managed to bring down the Ukrainian drone, and this is an explosion, and as these are the consequences of the air defense work. Another important territory is the settlement of Tyumen. According to information we have, the Ukrainians attacked the Tyumen oil refinery, and the distance to this Tyumen oil refinery is more than 2,000 kilometers. More precisely, around 2,200 kilometers from the territory of Ukraine, from possible positions that Ukrainians may use for as a launching site. As for the Tyumen oil refinery, we have lots of videos, as you can see. According to information we have, the Ukrainians managed to damage several facilities on the territory of this oil refinery. As you can see, civilians and locals publish lots of videos on this matter. So this is already a fourth city that was attacked by the Ukrainians during the previous night. And the most important thing, the most important attack took place in the direction of the city of St. Petersburg. I would like to remind you that several days ago, the Ukrainians already attacked the city of St. Petersburg when the Peter Economical Forum began, St. Petersburg Economical Forum began, and during that attack, the Ukrainians managed to deal significant damage to the port infrastructure of the city, and the Ukrainians managed to hit a ship on the territory of the settlement of Kronstadt, and this video was published by pro-Ukrainian sources. Later we received additional videos about the situation with this ship on the territory of Kronstadt. The ship was damaged heavily. For example, yesterday we received another video where we can see how the Russians were trying to extinguish the fire, and today, according to information we have, the Ukrainians once again attacked the territory of St. Petersburg, and this morning we received lots of videos on this matter. In this video we can see first drones that were approaching the settlement of St. Petersburg from different directions, and for example, in this video we can see another drone that was flying in the direction of the city, and the first explosions were recorded somewhere around 10 and 11 a.m. In this video we can see the first explosion on the territory of the Leningrad region. The sources reported that the Ukrainians managed to hit probably an object of military infrastructure on the territory of Kronstadt, and as a result of this attack, the local authorities were forced to isolate the island. Following Ukrainian drone strikes, the island city of Kronstadt is closed to entry and exit. Furthermore, a partial evacuation has been declared in neighboring district of the Leningrad region due to a fire at a military facility. So this is the situation, and this is the reply of the President of Ukraine, Zelensky. Most likely in coming hours, when the Peter's Economical Forum ends, the Russians will carry out a retaliatory strike, and the Russians most likely will also use thousands of drones and hundreds of missiles. But as of the night between the 5th and the 6th of June of 2026, the Russians also carried out a massive attack. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine this morning stated that the Russians used 272 drones to attack the territory of Ukraine, and a lot of explosions and a lot of drones were recorded through the southwestern part of Ukraine, through the Odesa region. The Ukrainian sources reported that more than 45 drones were recorded in this area, and the sources reported that the Russians began bombing once again the territory around the settlement of Mayaki. A huge fire anomaly was recorded along the Dniester River. As you can see, we have nothing on this map, but the sources reported that the Ukrainians began building additional bridges and additional places where the Ukrainians are able to cross the Dniester River. I would like to remind you that this M15 road is one of the most important roads for Ukraine, because this road connects the southwestern parts of Ukraine where we have the city, where we have the border border with Romania, and where we have lots of cities with additional port infrastructure. And the only possible way how to connect the southwestern parts of Ukraine with the mainland is the road through the settlement of Zatoka and the bridges across through the river of Dniester. And the Russians, as we can see, once again began attacking this territory with the purpose to destroy these bridges and not to allow the Ukrainians to establish a stable logistic between the western countries and Odesa and the southwestern parts of Ukraine. Furthermore, during the previous night, the Russians continue attacking the territory between Nikolaev and Kherson. In this video, we can see a gas station that was destroyed by Russians as a result of attack, another gas station on the territory of Ukraine, as you can see. Furthermore, the Russians attacked several trucks in the area of the settlement of Arkhangelsk. In this video, we can see a truck that was destroyed as a result of attack from the Russian side, and several vehicles, engineering equipment were also destroyed. Furthermore, the Russians attack a power station in the area of the settlement of ZELENSKY'S, and in this video we can see the consequences of attack. A black smoke broke out right after the Russians attacked the territory. Furthermore, the Russians continue attacking the northern parts of Ukraine in the Chernigov, Sumy regions, the Dnipro, Zaporozhye regions. So lots of attacks and lots of explosions were recorded through Ukraine, but less than explosions and videos that were published regarding the Ukraine's attack deep inside of the territory of Russia. So the conflict continues escalating. Most likely, once again, in coming hours, we will see retaliatory strike from the Russian side, and then everything will start from the beginning. Now let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the previous 12 hours, we received lots of very interesting updates. According to information we have, first groups of Russian forces managed to enter the settlement of Bachevsk, and currently there are very heavy clashes through the village. We believe that the group of forces north in coming days will adjust the map, and we will color everything under complete Russian control. Furthermore, the Russians continue fighting for the settlements of Petersburg, Volzhansk, and Novosich. The battle for these three villages started several weeks ago. We see that the Ukrainians show fierce resistance, and the Ukrainians don't allow the Russians to establish complete control over these three villages very fast, because the Ukrainians understand the value of these villages, because if they lose control over this village, the Russians will be able to get a foothold with the possibilities to concentrate hundreds, maybe thousands of troops through the big Sumy forest. Another important area is the Kharkiv direction. This morning, the group of forces north reported that as a result of clashes, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to establish complete control over the settlement by the name of Shevchenko. Since the beginning of this year, the Russians managed to take under complete control three villages through this area: the settlement of Veterinarne, the settlement of Granov, and the settlement of Shevchenko. So, for example, this is the situation in this area by the end of the 31st of March of 2026. As you can see, these villages were under complete control of the armed forces of Ukraine. But by the beginning of the 6th of June of 2026, the Russians managed to take these territories under complete control. Furthermore, according to information we have, the Russians continue advancing further, and currently the sources reported that first sabotage and reconnaissance groups of the armed forces of the Russian Federation entered the settlement of Kazachya Lopань, which is one of the most important settlements in this area. And if Russians take under complete control of this territory, the Russians will be able to start accumulating thousands of troops in this area before moving further in the direction of the city of Kharkiv from the north. I would like to remind you that most likely the city of Kharkiv is one of the most important directions for Russians for 2026. As for the northeastern part of the Kharkiv region, today the map has been adjusted once again. Pro-Russian sources reported that the Russians began fighting for the settlement of Losivka, and that there are very heavy clashes through the village, and that the Russians are about to force the Ukrainians to fall back from this area. This is the second village in this area that is about to be taken by the Russians before the Russians are able to begin advancing further in the direction of Bely Kolodets from behind. Now let's discuss the situation in the Kostyantynivka direction. This morning, pro-Russian sources published one of the most important changes on the ground. So right now, this is the situation of this area at the beginning of the 6th of June of 2026. And for example, this is the end of the 5th of June of 2026. As you can see, the changes are significant. The most important thing is that according to several pro-Russian sources, as a result of clashes, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to establish complete control over the central part of the settlement. This is the first thing, and the second thing is that according to these changes, the armed forces of the Russian Federation of Ukraine, the armed forces of Ukraine, who are currently located through the 81st, 92nd blocks and the Metallurg micro district, were caught by the Russians in Cauldron without any chances for evacuation. As of now, we don't know the exact number of Ukrainians that were encircled, but obviously this is the end for this part of Kostyantynivka, and the Russians are beginning the battle for the northern and the last parts of the city. Currently, the Russians, according to this map, control up to 60 or even more % of the city, and the Russians continue advancing. Most likely, it will take several weeks before the Russians continue the battle for this encircled part of the city, and then the Russians, with full strength, will be able to continue offensive operation further in the northern and the northwestern direction. At the same time, the Russians have already established complete FPV drone control over the territory, and the Russians don't allow the Ukrainians to bring additional forces in the direction of the northern parts, because this part is under complete control. So this is the situation, and once again the battle for the city of Kostyantynivka is coming to the end. And that's it for the short video. The Military with Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.